So hi, my name is Cassandra Refutation. The claim that I'm responding to is that technology has a huge negative effect on the way that we think. My opponent's secondary claims were that technology causes us to think less creatively, it causes us to think less efficiently, and it also encourages cyberbullying. So in response to my opponent's first secondary claim, technology does not cause us to think creatively. My opponent states that everyone is familiar with the phrase, just Google it. This is an over-assumption pointing at everyone in our society. There is no evidence that every single person in the world knows how to Google something, and that if he or she does end up Googling something, they will actually do exactly what Google says. Yes, people get ideas from Google all the time, but there is no way of tracking whether they will proceed to doing what Google says to do. He also says that just being on the computer keeps us from engaging in daily activities that boost our creativity. But he fails to include the citation of where this came from, so we have no idea whether it's true or where he found this information. But on the contrary, according to an article written in the Wall Street Journal, When Gaming is Good for You by Robert Lee Hodges, being in front of a screen can better your skills of multitasking, decision-making, and creativity. Not to mention that from the same article as well, people who played action-based video games and computer games made decisions 25% times faster than others without sacrificing accuracy, and also in women who make up 42% of computer and video game players, they tend to be better able to mentally manipulate 3D objects, making them more creative when they are in front of the screen. Okay, so in response to my opponent's secondary claim, technology does not cause us to think less efficiently. My opponent says that the majority of children nowadays all know what computer, tablets, and cell phones are, and they also know how to use them. While this might be true, that could be a positive thing. According to an article produced in 2009 titled Advantages and Disadvantages of Using Computers in School, using this type of technology in schools makes learning more interactive because it allows students to be engaged with their teachers instead of their teachers just talking directly at them and then being zoned out. Also, he stated that 72% of iTunes' top-selling education apps are designed for preschoolers and elementary school children. But actually, 80% of Apple's applications in education are targeted at children. But according to the online version of the magazine Parents, the education of children doesn't have to stop after school, but these top-selling apps will keep kids' minds active even outside of the classroom. So this does not cause them to think less efficiently. Instead, it is encouraging kids to think as if they were in school even when they're not. So it's a good thing to have so many applications targeting to children because it allows them to be thinking efficiently even outside of the classroom. Finally, in response to my opponent's third secondary claim, technology does not encourage cyberbullying. Obviously, technology does not cyberbully anyone on its own. People have to do it themselves. According to an article produced in StopBullying.com, it's the parents' and kids' responsibility to come together and prevent cyberbullying by exploring safe ways of using technology. My opponent says that bullying should not be encouraged through internet or in person because it can lead to self-esteem issues, anger issues, and even suicide. And even though all of this may be true, this claim is a claim of value, and it's not relevant to the claim that technology has a negative effect on our lives. And he also says that in a survey done in 2010 by Cyberbullying Research Center, approximately 20% of students were cyberbullied. But this again is not relevant to how technology encourages bullying, which was his third secondary claim. So in conclusion, technology does not have a negative effect in our society, It does not cause us to think less creatively, efficiently, and does not encourage cyberbullying directly.
All right, the structural things are all good. Your labeling, it's very easy to follow. On the first point, your first response basically is similar to the advocate's claim here. You've got an assertion to go along with their assertion, and you're challenging the validity of that assumption. You want to explain why that assumption is problematic. I'm not sure that that the advocate presented something that was really convincing, but your answer to it sounds relatively low. I like the counterclaim better that talks about how they develop other skills. I think that is the stronger argument on that point. On the issue of efficiency, you've got a pretty good counterclaim here on the technology apps and those sorts of things. You've got some different evidence that suggests a conclusion very different from what the advocate's talking about. That's a direct piece of information that's responding to that point. Sometimes your pacing is a little awkward, but you know what? It's very clear and easy to understand what you're saying. Sometimes the applications aren't as clear as they could be. For example, on the last point, you suggest that it's a value claim and that it's not relevant, and I'm not sure why you think it's a value claim. And if the cyberbullying occurs because of the technology, it sounds like it's relevant. So your kind of general argument really is that the source of the bullying is not the technology, it is the people, and that's the argument that you actually have some evidence on, and you need to make the claim that way. But like I said, I thought you did a pretty good job delivering it too, and although there's a little bit of reading, you do tend to look up occasionally and tell us that you are talking to us, which we appreciate.